Hey y'all, this is Nina Stevens, and I'm in the South where sushi is still called bait. So, what am I doing today? I am going to do the first racking of my wine. You guys remember on the live stream that I did one night with Backwoods Raised, I started this wine, and it is blackberry wine, and it has been percolating. Oh, awesome. I have a wasp. I think they call these news bees because they don't really sting, but there comes a time in the South where they're active, and he got in my towel. Anyway, so back to my wine. So this wine has been percolating since November the 1st. Okay. I'll let it completely finish percolating. And I wrapped it in a towel to keep the light off of it because I don't have small kids, so I don't have to worry about anything getting knocked around or whatever. The only one I have to worry about is Callie, my child. Sorry about that. So, anyway, back to the wine. It's been percolating since November the 1st. And I just wrapped it in a towel because I wanted to watch the bubbles to keep a check on how it was fermenting. And I left it alone. And I see it every once in a while, a bubble will come up, but for the most part, it's done. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to rack it. And what that means is when you put your fruit of choice, and in this case, it's blackberry. I ordered, and I showed on that video the juice that I ordered. I put the juice in here with the sugar and the yeast. And when you do that, you have a certain amount of sediment in the bottom of the carboy. This is glass carboy. So when you do when you rack it, you basically siphon all of the juice down to the bottom, and you leave the sediment in this carboy, and you siphon it into another carboy, and you test it at that time to see where the alcohol level is, and you also test the flavor, the sweetness, because I don't like dry wine. So if it is too dry, then at that time I'm going to do what's called back sweeten, and that is where it's done fermenting, but I'm going to back sweeten it because if it's dry, I'm not going to like it. So when I siphon it from this container to another carboy, which will be plastic, if it's too dry, I will add sugar and see if I can sweeten it and make it to where I enjoy it. The last wine that I made was black cherry. Can I tell you that has been the best wine? It has such a good flavor, and it was, if I'm not mistaken, 12% alcohol, which is kind of a little strong in the alcohol department. So instead of having, 3 or 4 glasses, you better stick with 2. Anyway, so what I'm going to do today is show you how I rack the wine. I'm going to siphon it from this container into another container. It's going to be heavy, so I'm going to have to pick it up, which probably won't be graceful. That's okay. I'm going to pick it up off the floor when I get it siphoned and set it up on this table, because this is where I like it to be so I can watch it. In which my grandkids, when they are over here, they don't usually bother anything. They know Mama's rules about stuff. Anyway, I'm going to show you how I do that, and hang on and I'll bring you back. Okay, I'm back. Alright, so instead of placing this next carboy, which is actually called the Big Mouth Bubbler, instead of placing it on the floor, then I have to struggle to pick it up. I'm going to try placing it here beside the wine, the glass. This is actually plastic. The initial fermentation I always recommend doing in glass. So what I'm going to do is siphon this into this container so that it can settle again. But before I do that, I'm going to test this wine and see if I can figure out how much alcohol it has. And then I'm also going to taste test the wine. And I'm going to try to bring you along with this and not, so you can see the steps that I go through. So, this is what the water is in. So I'm going to set this aside, and this keeps any air from being able to go into my wine. While it's fermenting, the water lets the gases out, but keeps any air from being able to get in the wine. Now, you'll notice that my big bubbler is wet looking. I always sterilize everything that I use with my wine with one step. You just spray the inside of the carboy and rinse it out, and it removes any impurities from your container. Now, my sampler and my hydrometer, I'll use those, and then as soon as I get through using them, I'll sterilize them before I put them up. Same thing with my hose. Anything that goes with my wine making, before I put it up, I'm going to sterilize it so I don't have to worry about doing it, at the next step. And it is warm over here by this heater. Can I tell you I love my heater? My child said she was going to go outside. So I'm going to open this hydrometer. So I can test the wine. Now my reading when I started was 1.10. So we're going to see where it ends up. Place it down in its little thing. I'm going to reach in, fill up my sampler, See if I can get a good seal on it so it doesn't drip anywhere. Oh, it smells good. It smells so good. A little more. Really? Alright, I'm going to go put this in the sink. So what I'm doing is spinning it so I can see where it's at. Okay, so it looks to me like it's at 1.20. So that means that it started at 1.10 and now it's at 1.20. So that's about a 10% alcohol rate. So I think that's pretty good. You know, as far as the alcohol level. I don't want it to knock my socks off. Anyway, can you see the color? It's pretty. It's so pretty. Alright. Cool beans. Alright, now for the taste test. So I'm going to take this out of here. I'm going to drop it into there. Now, like I said, I will be sterilizing all that before I put it away. So I'm going to pour some of this in here. And let's hope this wine is not dry, because I don't like dry wine. I see a little bit of fizz, which is good. And it's really, really clear, but I got it off the top of the bottle. The sediment is at the bottom. So I'm bringing you over here so you can see how pretty the wine is. You see the color? That's awesome. It's gorgeous. Alright, now for the taste test. Oh, that's good. That's good stuff. Oh, it's not dry at all. I'm so excited. That is good. I'm sorry, but that is good. You know, it's fun to me to learn how to do this sort of thing. So I started out with the black cherry in the first batch of wine that I did. And I ended up with 26 or 32? I can't remember. I think it was 26 bottles of wine that I ended up with. And it had such a good flavor. It was a little strong on the alcohol side because, like I said, I added, I experimented and I was kind of learning the different technology, I say, or the process for making wine. So I kind of experimented a little bit. In the process, I think it got a little too strong on the alcohol side because after 2 glasses, you're like, I'm done. But this is not as strong on the alcohol side. And I love the color. And the taste is not, it's got a little bit of a fizz to it, which I like. And it doesn't have that alcohol bite to it. This is good, and I'm proud. I'm proud of myself, y'all. Oh, that is good stuff. It's not dry, and it's not real sweet either. Oh, I am so proud. All right, hold on, I'm going to show you. I'm tickled. I am tickled. I'm tickled. Okay, so what I need to do is siphon off the wine and leave the sediment. Now, I'm siphoning it into this plastic carboy, and I'm not going to add any sweetener, any more sugar, any more yeast, nothing. I'm not going to add nothing. I think it's perfect just like it is. But I need to let it settle. This is how I get clear wine without the sediment in the bottom. So, let me show you what I do. Okay. This is a siphon. Okay. It's specifically for wine. I don't use this for anything else. I'm not going to siphon some gas out of a vehicle with my wine, with my siphon hose or whatever. Wrong one. Alright, so I'm going to put this in here, down in the bottle. This is where I want my wine to go. In the bottle that I want to siphon. Okay. That's not going to work. So, I'm going to have to set it on the ground. It needs to be at a lower level. Man. Yeah. Because it doesn't have enough leverage with it being up on the table to get the siphon going. So, we're going to start. Come on. There it goes. Awesome. Okay. So I'm going to clip that in there to keep that from touching the bottom. And I'm going to let it siphon all the way. And as this goes down, I need to watch it because it's going to go down, go down, go down, go down. But then I want to leave the sediment in the bottom of this one and have this one only be the top. So I'm going to let that siphon, and I'll bring you back when it's done. Okay, so just where I'm at, halfway or whatever, I'm looking for the bottom of the siphon. make sure that I have it down in there, in the wine. But I don't want to stick it so far down in there that I get down into the sediment that's in the bottom. So I use my handy dandy flashlight to see where it's at. So I'm good. All right. So we're getting really close, because this container is, I want to say it's 5 gallons and this one's 6. So, you know, there's going to be a difference, but I'm getting really close to the bottom part of what I want to leave. I'm being very careful with my siphon, the bottom of my siphon, and not letting it get into the bottom. Take a little bit more, and that's going to be it. And this part you can use for cooking or, you know, whatever. But it's a sacrifice for the cause to have clear wine. So once you pull that end up out of the wine, it stops the siphoning process. All right, I'm going to put this in the sink. Alright, so I'm going to put this lid on here that has been sterilized. Put my bubbler back in there. So what I'm doing is looking how clear it is. Looks pretty good to me. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do is leave that for 2 weeks and let it settle. And the next racking, 2 or 3, depending on if I have time to mess with it or not, you know. And the next racking will be into bottles. So, thanks for following along. I hope you enjoyed this. I think that knowing how to make a good table wine is a good thing. I like learning stuff. I think it's important. You know, it's not a high dollar wine. It's a table wine, but it has a good taste. It has a good flavor. It's not a strong alcohol level, so, you know, I think it's a good thing. So I hope you learned something, and I hope you come back for the next phase, which is the bottling phase. And that's it for me. Until next time, I'll see you later. I'm going to include a little clip in this video because I see my bees made it through the winter weather. They are out and about today, which is wonderful. So I just figured I'd give you guys an update. I get questions every once in a while. How's the bees doing? How's the bees doing? They're doing just fine. They're doing just fine.